Ready.
Shawn Mendes. Okay. Shawn Mendes, Rolling Stone cover, which, by the way, I just want to preface the whole conversation because I'm of two mindsets on this. I am a Shawn Mendes fan, even though I could be his dad. Literally, I was reading the cover story to learn that his dad is like my age. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I listen to his music. So, I mean, it goes...
he is my age.
Yes, and he's your age. It goes to show you there's 1 degree of separation between a gay man my age and a teenage girl and their music tastes. So I do like Shawn Mendes. I think I've been at one of his performances, his Spotify listen couldn't be more gracious of, and not like phony, authentic. I read the Rolling Stone article that started to get a lot of heat, and so to give viewers a little catch up, paraphrasing here with some of the quotes, but essentially what he started to say in the cover story was, one of the biggest things, he's very neurotic. Like the cover story was called like Confessions of a Neurotic Teenage Pop Idol or something to that effect. And he said it's this 5-year rumor that's followed him around that he's gay. And so in the quotes, he started to say that he's not. He feels like he has to like go out in public and be seen with a girl to sort of prove that he's not. He had in the past also did a video where a while ago with all the YouTube comments were piling up about he's gay, and so he ends up sort of like looking at all these comments and looking at social media about his mannerisms, and so he copped to the fact that yes, I'm more feminine, but I am not gay. And he says that he hates that, even though in his heart he knows that there's nothing wrong with being gay, there's still a side of him that cares about that people are saying this about him. So, with you reading the article, I want to, and this is one of the reasons I also had you here, not just that, but for our next story for the RN, and you'll be perfect to speak to this. Is this a generational thing where he's telling his truth and it's almost like these heteronormative images of men where it's like, you break down the barriers in your age group where it's like, it doesn't matter. Guys wear makeup, guys dress this way, guys may be more effeminate, but it doesn't have anything to do. What is your...
I think that we are finally in a time period where maybe older generations aren't as accepting because they're still living in their same mindset that they were raised in. Yeah. But my generation is very open-minded and very accepting for the majority of the time. And I think that we as press and we as fans are creating this into a story. I don't think that the Shawn Mendes, is he gay, is he not, is a story.
Yes.
I think that you are allowed to have your own sexuality.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, Shawn Mendes is a great performer. He is a great artist. He's so kind to everybody that he meets. Everybody has a great story about him.
Yeah.
And he's an ally to the LGBTQ community. He's constantly doing fundraisers and charity events and stuff like that. He's only 20 years old, and I don't know about you. I was at Jingle Ball in LA, and fans, girls, guys, everyone screaming for him, they love him. So it doesn't matter what his sexuality is. It's just heartbreaking to me that he has to go through this and feel like he has to prove his sexuality in order to feel accepted within our society and within the music group.
So, okay, Alina, what are your thoughts on that for question? And then I want to get to the next question about it.
So I feel a lot the same way that Madison does. You know, for my generation, like she said, we're very open and very accepting. And for me, I'm like, why does it even matter if he's gay or not?
Okay.
But I saw what he was saying in the article because there's so much pressure put on these young performers, and not even just performers, but I just feel the younger generation, you know, with Instagram and social media and the likes and just wanting to be accepted constantly. It's like this constant flow daily that it gets into your, you know, psyche. And I don't think he was saying, you know, I have to go out there and prove that I'm not gay to say that, you know, being gay is bad. That's not his thing. But I think he was really self-aware to say, you know, yeah, I am a little effeminate, and that's me. Like, this is me, take it or leave it. And I don't think people should really have to judge him, you know, if he's gay or not. He's talented, and he's, like you said, an ally to the LGBT community, and that should be what's important.
And there's so many other things that we can be talking about here when it comes to Shawn Mendes. I mean, he's self-taught. He learned how to play all of his instruments by himself by watching YouTube videos. He was self-discovered through Vine. He has 3 studio albums, which all debuted at the top of the U.S. Billboard 200, the first one making him one of the 5 artists ever to debut at #1 before the age of 18, and the third one making him the 3rd youngest artist to achieve 3 #1 albums.
Look how prepared
Which,
you
like,
are.
I needed to bring that up, though, because
Yeah.
he's so amazing as an artist, and I think he's so downplayed because people, again, care
Yeah.
more about his personal life, and that comes in play with social media.
Okay,
Right.
so here's my so when I initially saw the quotes, when I woke up that day and I saw that it was blowing up all over social media, I read just the quotes out of context of the entire cover story. And my initial reaction, okay, from both a gay man who came out at 19, okay, but that's not, and this is going back like 20 years ago, like something around 20 years
Age
ago.
isn't important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't even the norm then. So like it's gotten to be where kids younger and younger and younger, and he's also Canadian. So I was troubled by not Shawn necessarily, I guess, feeling his guard was down and speaking his truth, but rather who's guiding him. Because I know that these cover stories more often than not, now unless, I don't know the details if like, I know the cover story writer for Rolling Stone was shadowing him and was spending like time in it. But you obviously have a team around. Because here's where I go with this. He's 20 years old. Shawn Mendes may not even know himself what he is. We have to take him at his word. He says he's straight, then he's straight, okay, for all intents and purposes. But if this kid down the line discovers this, and if his team right now does know that he is potentially, I think it's poor PR strategy, because play it like Ricky Martin played it. Because what's going to happen is this kid comes out 10 years from now, because again, his entire fan base, now you girls are saying you don't think it matters. Do you really not think it matters? Isn't it the fantasy for a lot of these teenage girls that like Shawn Mendes could sing them to sleep at night and be their boyfriend? I
Sure,
mean,
but at the
you
same
just brought
time,
up Ricky Martin, and I still
Yeah.
love Ricky Martin.
but
I
you
used to
didn't
have a
know he
crush on
was
Ricky Martin.
gay when he was out.
No, back in the day, no.
And he wouldn't speak to it. But see,
Right.
I, as a gay man in the community, did know that Ricky, there was
Right.
always those. Everyone knew that he was. And I think that so where Shawn is trying to say that, or there's articles out there that are putting this on, that the LGBT, which I agree with, the LGBT community perpetuates this, because there's a lot of like gay men that probably wish he was, and they're perpetuating it rather than just let it alone. However, though, he just opened up Pandora's box, and if I was guiding him, I would just say, don't speak about it. It's not anyone's business. When you choose to talk about when you're dating and in a relationship, talk about it. Ricky Martin, to me, was so pitch perfect on how he handled it, because then when he did come out, it was embraced. I feel like if Shawn continues to, like, all through his 20s and all through his early 30s, deny, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, by the way, I am gay, the gay community at that point is going to be like, well, F you. Because it's like there had to be at some point he came to that real. So I guess
Okay, but here's the difference.
Yeah.
You keep comparing Shawn to Ricky.
Right.
And I think it's very different because Ricky didn't grow up in the social media age that we're in right now.
Okay.
Shawn feels the need to express himself on social media. Think about it. Haley Baldwin, his last girlfriend, is now married to Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is around his age, just a few years older. He's married. Nick Jonas, few years older. He's now married as of this weekend.
Yeah.
All of these teen pop sensations that all of us, women and men alike, look up to, and they want that like fantasy of them singing us to bed that night.
Yeah.
They're all married.
Yeah.
So like he's one of the last ones left right now, and he probably feels the need to be like, I'm single because I want to, and this is why. And people keep saying,
And he's
bringing
20.
in the
He
gay sexuality thing
20.
to it. And
He should be single at 20.
don't get married
Yeah.
at 20.
You bring up Bieber at a good point. I feel like Justin Bieber made all the money in the world now and just doesn't feel like he suffers from, quote, anxiety issues and whatever, and doesn't want to be working right now, and's made $1 bazillion, that he just kind of was like, oh, what else do I have to do is get married and have kids. I already
good for
like
him.
Yes, but here's the thing. But then I'm not going to do an armchair like psychology diagnosis here, but like that's my whole issue with the fact that people have kids and get married too young. They're still kids, but and then you screw up a whole next generation of, and I say that from a person who has like suffered from mental health things and done that, and like all that is like environmental factors, coming into the world too early, having screwed up, how do I say this without saying?
I was kind of
Justin
on that
Bieber's
same
almost like feels like he's bored in certain ways. So now I'm just gonna be like married and be like. I mean, you don't think those social media posts are like way over the top? Like we get it. You think your wife's hot?
No, because I was walking home actually from Starbucks, which is Starbucks, for those who don't know, I'm not telling you where I live, but it's literally a 2-minute walk from my apartment to Starbucks. And as I was walking out of Starbucks, Hailey Baldwin and Justin Bieber were walking in. And I was like, kind of watching them from afar, and I was like, you know what? They're really cute together. Like, you can genuinely see how much they love each other. And before, I was totally not on board for them because I was like, Justin Bieber should be mine, not hers. But
I thought you were just going to say
them,
Selena.
I know. I thought you were going to Selena, and she said, no, me.
No, I'm throwing myself in that pot.
You girl.
But you know what? After seeing them, I'm okay with it.
Okay, all right, fine.
I love it.
Okay, so then I guess, you said I was comparing them. This is what I'm going to say. If Shawn is telling the truth and he is absolutely straight, I don't have any knowledge of that. I can only go by industry whispers, go by,
he was saying, would they know?
He was saying he was, well, but how did anybody know that, like, for instance, Ricky Martin, I mean, you can't discount, like, when well-placed people within the Hollywood and music industry are saying something. It's in numbers. It's like somewhere along But somewhere along the lines, there's some credibility, depending, and this is how I judge it. If I've never got firsthand knowledge of, like, I actually know a person who has slept with a person, I'm not going to perpetuate a rumor like that, okay? Right. But if you know that where the source, I go by the sources that are telling me things if I think it's credible, because you would know that they have access to know that information. That's all I'm going to say. So.
Okay. Fair.
I do find it to be also, I had 15 female cousins, so I like to play with makeup and blah, blah. Well, if you read any kind of like psychology book about this, 9 out of 10 guys who naturally played with dolls, myself included, when they were a baby, turn out to be gay. There's all these factors that just, to me, it was very, I feel for him. He's 20 years old. Leave Shawn alone, like leave him alone. But I also think if the kid turns out to be gay, poor management and guidance on how he's dealing with it in the press. Don't talk about it. Stop talking about it. That's how I feel. Don't talk about it. Stop saying don't stand on a soapbox and say, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay. And because you could potentially have a team that's saying, we got to protect your millions. We got to protect the next, you got to do this for another 10 years so you're set for life.
But I think that's wrong. His fan base is so open-minded that they don't care if he's gay or not.
But is that true or not? Because
I think it's true.
So you're both females that you go to movies. If you had Matt Bomer playing, who is openly gay, playing like the romantic lead in a movie with a girl, there's not the remote thing that you're like, oh, when he actually sleeps with men in real life.
Nope. I still think he's hot.
Really?
I still think he's hot too.
I still think he's hot, and I still want to see everything he's in.
See, because I never bought like I didn't buy Anne Heche, even though she is with a guy now, but like I never bought her as like a female lead. Like I don't know. There's something off about it for me when like a lesbian's trying to play like a romantic lead, and you're like, yeah, but she's a lesbian.
It's just the fantasy aspect.
I
think the fantasy aspect
I can't have her
at
my pool party. I mean, like she's a lesbian.
Mean Girls. We're being mean girls today, guys.
Oh Lord.
That gives me a good transition, actually. All right. God bless Shawn. Keep making music. You do you.